Tonight, make no mistake, the fight for the finals is on. It's the time of year when every hit seems to hurt more. Living on the edge, a typical weekend on Sports Tonight. Hello, I'm Matthew White. Welcome to the show. What's a typical weekend in sport? Well, it's pretty typical for an Aussie to be making headlines somewhere in the world, and this weekend belongs to Stephen Leaney. It's typical for most of us to wonder how and why rally drivers do what they do. And it's typically tough every day, including weekends, in the Tour de France. But first, a typically tough day at the footy, and as the rain poured down in Sydney, the Rugby League Top 10 countdown attracted a serious case of the slip and slides. When St George and Sydney City met at Cogra Oval, it was sink or swim.
Dragons versus Roosters in conditions perfect for pigs, but wet weather swill wasn't on offer.
Raced up. Here's a chance though. Gappy got it away to Miles. He got it away to Wellsgood. And there you have it, the Roosters.
Both sides keen to give the ball some air. St George striking while the field still firm underfoot.
Rodwell now grubbering for Blacklock. A beautiful kick. The Dragons have replied.
As the mud thickened, Splash replaced Dash. Play tightening up. Brad Fittler leaving the Dragons at a loose end in defence.
Inside, got away from the Stapleton tackle again in the first line. And Fittler says yes.
The Dragons trailing by just 2 at half-time, thanks to Matthew Rodwell's clever inside option.
Showing it back on the inside to Blacklock. Has one to beat. He got past Brooker and has scored.
Nathan Blacklock's second try of the match and his 16th of the season. Wayne Bartram wiping aside the muck to make the conversion. The second half bringing less flair, but no shortage of dare.
Another good tackle. Now there's a stick in behind the play. Lee Murphy copped a couple of short and from Luke Ricketson, who now wants another go at Lance Thompson.
But when push came to shove, the game was turning St George's way. Saints winger Daniel Wagon denied by the video ref. Wayne Bartram overlooking an unmarked Mark Coyne to go it alone.
He held on to the ball. He might score anyway.
Bartram held up over the line, and not long after, teammate Corey Pearson followed suit. But it was fourth time lucky for St George. No doubts about Anthony Mundine.
Mundine with an overlap. He pushes away. He got to Brooker. He scored.
St George pressure forcing one last error from the Roosters.
Charged down, a turnover. Picked up by Jeff Hardy. He was looking for somebody to score the try. He scored it himself. And the Dragons' top 4 ambitions still well and truly intact thanks to the 10-point win. It was 4 tries to 2, the Saints with the stamina in the slush, putting aside all the talk about a merger with Illawarra.
And I thought we did a good job this week at focusing on us and not other things that might surround us. And I thought that was the big difference in the two sides from week to week.
No complaints. Very hard day, very frustrating day. It always looked like they were coming to get us. They had so much possession and we just couldn't clear our own half, and then probably fatigue took over and we made a couple of mistakes. And they looked a little more experienced in the conditions than some of our blokes, and probably just handled it a little better for most of the game. But we had a good lead. We probably should have been able to win from there.
Normally St George prefer to play on the top of the ground, but today we did a good work playing underneath it, so that's great practice if we happen to have a semi-final here, which would be nice. And our form this year at Cogra's been, I think, very, very good. 3 other matches in the NRL today. We start our wrap at Parramatta, where Canberra showed their class.
Unwanted star Ricky Stewart turned down the captaincy, David Furner taking the reins. It didn't take long for the green machine to click. 3 minutes in, some Brad Clyde magic.
Clyde out wide, round the corner pass, and they're going to make it with Naked.
Stuart Kelly pierced a weak Raider line, scores level at 4 apiece.
Kelly's into space, he's going to go all the way, Kelly's over.
20 minutes of Eels' dominance reaped no reward, and the momentum swung. Canberra found top gear, 3 tries in 8 minutes. Mark McClendon, the perfect Stewart understudy.
Puts the kick on for McClendon. McClendon, he's over.
Down 22-4 at half-time, a shell-shocked Parramatta only got worse.
High marsh, and then it's with Canberra's Clyde.
Stuart Kelly restored some Earl pride, grabbing his second. Canberra taking the points 22-8. At Penrith Stadium, the Panthers stormed out of the blocks against Canterbury, racing to a 16-0 lead after 17 minutes.
Hicks, still with a chance. Back in the field of play.
The Bulldogs fought back. Travis Norton, the first to the chase. Penrith up 22-12 at the break.
Price for the try line. Has he got the speed? He puts the kick in. They'll score, the Bulldogs.
Canterbury rallied in the second half, but failed to convert. John Cross burying the Bulldogs. The home side 26-18 victors. The Auckland Warriors travelled to Adelaide, hoping to steady a shaky finals campaign. The first half momentum with the Rams. Graham Appo crossing.
Appo busting back through the middle. Has he got the pace to keep going? Has he won?
Auckland's frustration began to show in the second half. Joe Wagner going on report. Adelaide survived a spirited Warrior revival, edging out the visitors 22-20.
And here's the league table with the Knights on top despite their loss to Melbourne, Brisbane and the Storm also up there. Cronulla and Illawarra sneaking into the top 10. Manly is finally within touch of the final 10. North Queensland continue to fall after their bright start to the season. The year seems over for Auckland and the rest. With the Western Bulldogs a surprise loser yesterday, St Kilda had a perfect chance to stand alone on top of the AFL ladder. But Essendon wasn't about to hand them the points.
In a finals atmosphere at Waverley, a scare for St Kilda after champion Robert Harvey hurt his forearm.
A little bit of trouble there with that.
The lead changed several times in the first half.
He's got it in there. He's got
James Hird had some important touches. Michael Long finishing off for his third.
Oh, great finish.
But the Saints came back to lead by a point just before half-time.
The Saints, they've surged it.
The feeling between both sides boiled over on the siren.
Restrained.
Tempers didn't cool during the break, and Long looked just as hot after a leg injury forced him off.
Michael Long looking on.
Essendon covered his loss and did most of the attacking early in the third term, nailing 3 unanswered goals.
This will have them on their feet.
The Bombers had the midfield momentum and they made the most of it.
And gets the goal for the Bombers.
The Saints hung on valiantly. Peter Everett brilliant for a big man. But the Bombers had the answers to lead by 16 points at the final change.
That open goal gets it.
Everett sucked in Peter Somerville for a cheap free and then made him pay for it.
Straight in front.
That proved critical as St Kilda kicked on.
I think it's okay, is it?
But the Bombers hit back.
Comes around. You're kidding.
Not to be outdone, Aussie Jones replied.
I think it's a goal.
Hird copped a heavy knock.
It met very heavily.
Before Buick scored the last goal of the game, the Bombers winning by 3 points in a thriller.
There it is, tight throughout the afternoon. The Bombers getting away in the third term, and they were good enough to hang on for the win. 2 other matches today. The big news of the round, Richmond's Justin Charles returning after a lengthy suspension for the use of steroids.
After 16 weeks on the sideline, Justin Charles made a triumphant return for Richmond. But it didn't go the Tigers' way early.
He goes long. It might be a goal. It is a goal.
Geelong led for most of the first half. Clint Bizzle in outstanding form as the Cats opened up a 16-point lead.
Bizzle's kick. Oh, it is long. Great kick.
But the Tigers fought back, the lead changing 4 times in the final quarter. But it was Richmond who hung on for the win to climb to 5th on the ladder.
He gets it.
While Sydney's hoodoo at the Gabba looked like it might continue as Brisbane stole the early lead.
So Bradshaw does kick it, and the Lions get their first here at the Gabba.
But the Lions' grip was never that strong. The Swans soon took control, opening up a 34-point lead by half-time.
Lewis, Lockett will get his third.
And they would never be headed again. Paul Roos capping off a memorable 350th game with one of Sydney's 7 final quarter goals.
In his 350th game, he's kicked it.
The Swans consolidating its place in the top 4 with a smashing 60-point win.
Gets close to Brad Scott on the mark, kicks it high, up they go from the back. It's Tony Lockett, and it's a goal.
And here's the ladder after 17 rounds. The Bulldogs on top and the Saints missing their chance to replace them. West Coast looking safer after a win at Collingwood. Now Melbourne has fallen out of the 8. Port Power not far behind. The other 6 look set for a rest in September as it becomes harder and harder for them to make the finals. Hope you can stick around. We'll be back with more sports tonight right after this. Welcome back to Sports Tonight. Australia completed a whitewash of Argentina in the Fed Cup today, and we might have uncovered a new hero, just the kind of player women's tennis in this country needs.
Headlines are calling her the new sensation. Her name is Jelena Dokic. She's just 15, and get this, she's ours.
You'd expect a bit of pressure there, but you know, I'll just go out there and play tennis really and enjoy yourself.
Today, Jelena continued her amazing rise. Another Fed Cup singles win. 6-2, 6-1, game, set and match.
I mean, I've never played any of the big tournaments or big players, so I mean, I think yesterday's match was a big one, and she's like ranked 80 in the world, and I think a lot of experience there, and it was a good match.
Australia beat Argentina 5-love, with Nicole Pratt giving the Aussies an unbeatable lead.
Yeah, I was confident I could beat her, but I knew it'd be a different match. I mean, I played completely different to Jelena, and if, you know, Jelena wins easy, doesn't mean I'm going to win easy.
But it was the Sydney schoolgirl who stole the spotlight.
But I think now with Jelena coming up 15-year-old and playing unbelievable tennis, you know, I'm sure the Australian public are going to be wanting to see more of her, and the people that didn't arrive here today have certainly missed out on a real performance from her.
Aussie Jelena arrived on our shores from Serbia 4 years ago. Last month, she became the world's #1 ranked junior.
I mean, I've improved quite a bit in the last year or so. So, I mean, the more matches I play, the better it is.
Today, Jelena is ranked 589th in the world. But it is tomorrow we are now curious about.
What a day for the ladies of Australian tennis. Pratt comfortably in 2, Dokic again in blasting form, and in the doubles a similar story, McQuillan and Goose making it an Aussie whitewash. Marcelo Rios has missed his latest chance to regain the tennis world #1 ranking, losing to Carol Kuchera in the semis of the Mercedes Cup in Germany. Rios has never won a Grand Slam, but still had the opportunity to overtake Wimbledon champion Pete Sampras, who was out injured. But Kuchera was just as capable as Rios at the net and crushed the Chilean in the opening set. Rios bounced back though, going down the line against the Slovakian and winning the second in a tiebreaker. But Kuchera outplayed him, beating him from the baseline and broke served in set 3 rather. Rios losing his chance to make the final and leapfrog Sampras. So Kuchera will play Gustavo Curtin in the final after he beat Carlos Moya in straight sets. Kuchera won in 3, 6-1, 6-7, 6-4.
When you don't win, you're always disappointed. The good thing about tennis is that you have a revanche every day. But I think I'm playing good, and if I was not #1 now, I'm going to be later.
I was trying my best, and I was trying to concentrate on my game and to forget about these match points, and I could win the match.
A gold medal to Australia's Rachel Marshall at the World BMX Championships in Melbourne. But there was disappointment for Australia's other hope in the women's elite final. After a smooth start to the race, Heidi Marshall went down in a fall. Rachel Marshall, who won the World Junior Championship in Canada last year, avoided the trouble to go on and get the gold. A fall too in the men's elite event, but French rider Thomas Allier led the event from the first turn to win gold. Australia's Christopher Jonguard finished 5th. The world's #1 hockey player Alison Annan steered New South Wales to its 5th National League title today, but they did it the hard way in the final against Queensland. The home side racing to a 3-0 lead. But captain Annan got her side onto the scoreboard in the 45th minute. Sarah Booth with 2 goals in 12 minutes to tie up the match. It went into extra time and Annan blasted the golden goal past Queensland keeper Clover Maitland. So the Arrows with an amazing comeback after Kathy Fay, Kelly Free and Karen Smith got the Scorchers off to a flyer. The West Australian team finished 3rd. Melbourne won the men's title. Jay Stacey and David Wansborough, the Redback scorers. Australian golfer Stephen Leaney holds a 2-shot lead going into the final round of the Dutch Open. He's 14 under the card, followed by Lee Westwood, then Nick Price. But the rest of the Aussies are right off the pace. Leaney carded 2 birdies on the last 2 holes to finish even par for the day. But not so Westwood, who started with a share of the lead, but bounced between bogeys and birdies, ending up 2 strokes back. Now, the shot of the day went to England's Philip Walton. Not that shot. This is Philip Walton almost bagging an eagle on the 16th. The ball, well, it jumped in and then out of the hole. After 2 days of the New Zealand round of the World Rally Championships, Frenchman Didier Auriol holds a 30-second lead over Carlos Sainz. Auriol gained the lead after Britain's Colin McRae lost time when he struck a spectator on a tight corner. Now, the injured man was flown to hospital with a broken leg. The incident allowed Auriol to make up time over his rival. He won 5 of today's 8 stages. 2 were cancelled because of flooding. Australian champion and local driver Possum Bourne is in 9th place, more than 5 minutes down. The rally finishes tomorrow. And there was an action-packed start to the Austrian Formula One Grand Prix. Mika Häkkinen and Michael Schumacher shot into 1st and 2nd place before there was an accident among the backmarkers. 2 corners later, and another collision saw the safety car come out onto the track. Now, once the race resumed, Schumacher recommenced his battle with Häkkinen, but Schumacher came unstuck several laps later. After days of conflict in the Tour de France, the cyclists today declared a truce with race organisers and the media over the drug scandal. Germany's Jan Ullrich has retained the leader's yellow jersey. He holds a 1-minute, 11-second lead over his nearest rival. A group of 6 broke away from the main pack, and in a sprint to the line, it was Italy's Daniele Nardello who won the 13th stage. A replay showing there was only centimetres in it. On to cricket, and the 4th test between England and South Africa is delicately poised at stumps on day 3. Mark Ramprakash, the hero, with an unbeaten 67. Graham Hicks' return to Test cricket was short-lived, bowled by Alan Donald for 6. But Ramprakash batted on. England all out for 336. The English bowlers hitting back quickly. The Proteas 3 for 21 at stumps. Globe-trotting jockey Frankie Dettori has chalked up another feature win, this time aboard champion English galloper Swain in the Group 1 King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Stakes at Ascot. Dettori in the blue rode vigorously over the concluding stages to get Swain home ahead of English Derby winner High Finish. Royal Anthem finished 3rd. It's only the 2nd time a horse has won the prestigious race in successive years, and Dettori thrilled the crowd with another one of those famous leaps. More medals for the Aussies at the Goodwill Games. Loretta Harrop took gold in the women's triathlon, with Michaeli Jones taking silver. In the men's, Craig Walton also grabbed silver. Meanwhile, one of the women making a name at the Games is American Marion Jones.
22-year-old Marion Jones is on a mission, and after becoming the first double gold medalist of the current Goodwill Games, with smashing victories in the 100 and 200-meter dashes, she said her goal is to run fast and have a ball.
You know, if I run fast and I have fun, then that's all I really care about. I'm not really into the fame and the glory that's going to come along. I know eventually with all this, but I know it's great, all the media attention and everything. I just want to just have fun. I'm 22 years old. I'm having a ball. I just want to keep it up.
In a matter of 15 blurring months, she's done exactly that, bursting through to become the shining new light in track and field. The groundwork was laid early. Jones came out of California, where she obliterated the record for the fastest 100 meters ever run by a high school girl. Soon after, she declined an offer to be an alternate on the 1992 Olympic team. Recruited chiefly for her sprinting and long jumping abilities, Jones fooled them all by choosing North Carolina for basketball.
As a child, I was involved in a lot of different sports. Track and field was one of the first things that I got involved with. And when I went to North Carolina, I decided to play basketball and kind of put track and field on the back burner for a couple of years. In '96, I definitely missed it, sitting at home with some injuries. And last year, I just felt that it was the time to make the decision, come out, start running track, being on top once again.
After only 4 months of concentrated training, she became a world champion, running the 5th fastest 100 in history. A colleague remarked that everybody was shocked at how quickly she hit those times.
You know, I always knew that I'd get back in this sport and I'd be back on top where I used to be. You know, I've been a little bit surprised by how soon and how successful I've been at such a quick rate, but, you know, I'll take it.